What is it, buddy? What is it, buddy? My little bud. You little stinky breath. That little stinky breath. Oh,
What's up,
we already on.
everybody? Huh?
We already on?
Yeah, we're on now.
Oh.
What's up, everybody? Beastman, Perfect Games here. Beastin' Bro. I'm Beastman Perfect Games, and that is.
Oh, dude. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
And, today I did some, layouts to, more focus in on what we're going to talk about today. And this is mainly all about, worst adaptations from comics and other media. Oh. There you go. First, we're going to talk about, what I've been reading, lately, since, Zeus hasn't read much lately. But I also want to talk about, the new, comic book variant covers that I've gotten today, which are the Moon Knight one, which I just got today. It's by Miko, Suyan, or Swayan. This is the Midnight Mission, issue 1 by Jed McKay version, and a Vampirella one by Lauren Wright. This is from the comic, Vampirella Mind Warp, which is by, Dynamite Comics. And another one, which is a Venom cover. That's from the Zeb Wells run of The Amazing Spider-Man, which doesn't have Venom in it at all, which I think is kind of odd. But that was like the only one where it didn't have the character actually in it. And what I've been reading, getting into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original, and we're gonna talk about some of those adaptations, in those. I'm only on issue 3 right now, and it's like more darker in tone and black and white. It still has like some humor from the shows, it's just not as much. But as you can see, like there's like filled like layouts everywhere, panels. So it's not all small boxes, small panels. Like on every page, there's always something to look at. And also, I've been reading. Well, I just got done reading. Batman: Dark Victory, which is a really good one, and introduces Robin, Dick Grayson, which is like the very first Robin. In the first one, before that, it was The Long Halloween, about a murder mystery about the Falcone family being killed off on certain holidays. And so it's up to Batman to figure out who's been murdering everybody on those holidays. And I've also read the rest of the Moon Knight comics that I've got a year ago. And I like all of them except for... There's a few of them that I don't like, and some of them that I can get kind of confused on. Like in this one, like it's the same artist from that variant cover, Swayan. He has like very visceral art styles, which I've shown you before. But and now when it goes into Mark Spector's mind, but it like switches off on who he's actually talking to. And that's just what I've been reading. And today we're going to talk about first the worst adaptations. And let's just highlight that real quick. Oh, no, that one. There we go. Worst adaptations. And I want to start with one that we saw when we were kids. It was Batman and Robin. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one?
The one with Poison Ivy.
Oh, okay, and Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Okay, dude, I love those movies.
Yeah.
I mean, they were corny as shit. Like the like the writing and the characters were. It was pretty corny, but I don't know. There, I mean, to me, I love those movies. That's probably. I'm not even really that big into Batman movies and stuff like that, but as far as that one goes, like those older ones, I actually really like those ones. Who played the Batman in those ones?
It was two of them. Batman and Robin is George Clooney,
That's okay.
and Batman Forever was not Keanu.
Keaton.
No, Val Kilmer.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
like Val Kilmer Batman actually.
Yeah.
He did a pretty good job. Not just because he just died, but because
Yeah.
but he actually did a pretty good job. I don't know. I kind of like Clooney, but I didn't feel like Clooney fit the mold of Batman though. Like he just kind of like a little fucking pretty boy that I don't. He didn't fit the mold for Batman for me.
Hold
But I
on,
mean, he
hold on.
did a good job though.
We're gonna explain more on that later.
Oh, okay.
We're
Sorry.
just gonna name them real quick.
Oh, okay.
And I'll probably choose the next one is the Venom movies. I think those are probably the worst ones, even though I've only seen the first one, and I know they kind of got they kind of went into it a sort of right direction where with Carnage, but I thought stop it with I thought Venom, like the whole Venom dynamic just didn't make sense, but I'll explain more on that. Um, I think the Seth Rogen version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that one, and probably the Michael Bay version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the one where he made the turtles all look realistic and like jacked as shit, and made a Shredder look almost like a transformer with like multiple blades everywhere, and um, there are some other ones. Oh, I might get hate for this, but probably either maybe Man of Steel, which I kind of found it pretty boring, to be honest, because it basically captured like the whole power dynamic of Superman instead of it was kind of like unequal between the Clark Kent and Superman aspect, and probably Batman versus Superman, which I found kind of boring because it went all over the place. And I think that's about it for right now. How about you?
Well, I'm sorry. Cousin texted me.
Oh.
Um, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Now, what are your other worst adaptations?
Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was horrible. Some people may like it, some people may not, but uh, yeah, the way that one didn't bode well for me. And I'm uh a big Lord of the Rings Hobbit kind of fan, and they butchered that one. I don't know what they were thinking with the actors and everything.
Any other ones?
Um,
Just don't go into too much detail because we'll
yeah.
go
No, I'm
into it.
trying to think of uh a a bad one.
I was also gonna say Batman Forever. That's how they did Riddler. You know, it's by Jim Carrey and Two Face by Tommy Lee Jones. I thought that was
Yeah,
pretty
that one was
bad.
goofy as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That no, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I have one like the Green Hornet maybe. That one wasn't great. Uh how they did the one with Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
I mean it was funny, but it wasn't really my thing. That one wasn't great. But aside from that, I can't think of anything else that didn't come out very good. Um that I've read,
Right.
but I don't know. I think that's all I got is Rings of Power and Green Hornet.
Well, I'm gonna name like a few that are not quite out yet. but in the direction that they're going, it doesn't seem like it's going to be the
I already
correct
know what you're gonna say.
direction. Yeah, which is
Mm.
the new Harry Potter show that's coming out, which
Oh,
is coming out this Christmas, and the new Green Lantern show that's coming out
there
this
it
August,
is.
and I think the new Supergirl movie is probably, I wouldn't say the worst adaptation. It's just that they changed a lot from the source material because it was trying to be focused on the book from Tom King, which is called Woman of Tomorrow, and then the book goes into the direction of True Grit, and James Gunn completely changed it to a whole other direction. And we will go to the next one, which is why they failed. All right, you want to talk about Rings of Power now?
Oh yeah. Uh, for beginners, I don't want to say it was corny, but I mean I couldn't get past like the third episode. I mean the story itself was actually kind of decent. What I had seen, but the for one the characters that they used as the elves in the original movies and even in the books, the elves are like pretty boys. Like they're kind of like, which is kind of gay to say, but they're kind of like longer face and like just very like like their face structure is a lot different.
Right.
In the movie or in the show, you can tell when they made the elves like they all have the same boxy little heads. Like all the actors that they use were like it just kind of it's not what the elves are. You know what I mean? It's not really what I don't want to say from the movie, but even if you read the books, like the elves don't hold that same weight as they did in the books and in the movies. Um, and then the story itself, I can't really shit on the story. The story was actually kind of decent. Um, like I said, I didn't get very far into it because it was just kind of corny. But I guess that's a reason that it doesn't work either because it's a little corny.
Well,
Um,
besides the character, why else do you think it failed? Like anything behind the scenes or anything that you think of? Because
no, because I didn't. I mean,
I already know.
yeah, I didn't get too deep into it, so I can't speak on a lot of it. I can just speak on the characters that just didn't translate, that they didn't work very well, and then the just the overall like it was just kind of corny. Like it just felt I think it felt a bit rushed. Like they just wanted to throw something out there to make money that was gonna grab a lot of people because they know a lot of Middle Earth fans are gonna gravitate towards anything fucking Middle Earth no matter
Yeah.
what. And I think that they could have done a lot better if they just took their time and like actually researched the fucking books.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like actually took things from the books that was gonna work, which they did some, from what I had seen. But it just I think they didn't they didn't do a very good job in my opinion.
Right. So you're saying they kind of got the aesthetics right, just not in the wrong direction.
Yeah, they. Well, I don't think they did enough research. You know, like the characters that they use. Some of them work and some of them don't. And then just the overall writing of it is just kind of like the production side of it. It just kind of comes off a bit corny. Like it doesn't come off like it doesn't grab you. It's not grabbing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't get your attention and make you want to keep watching it. It makes you cringe a little bit here and there. You know, like one of the main guys, a black dude with the crazy colored eyes and shit. Like he seemed like he'd be a good character if it wasn't so like if the whole love thing wasn't forced into it and it just kind of like morphed into it. I don't know. It just I think they rushed it. Honestly, I just think they rushed the show.
Well, like what he explained, the whole like behind the scenes, the people not actually doing their research, which is what I think is the overall reason for like anything with a failed adaptation, is that they don't do their focused research. While some of them do and some of them don't, but lately, compared to back then to now, I think there's like more creators that are willing to do their own thing instead of trying to adapt from the source material that they're trying to adapt from. And you have multiple people, like I would say like probably Disney is probably like the highest one of all.
Yeah, they fuck everything they make.
Yeah, Kevin Feige, he's told his creators, like his directors and stuff that are creating the other movies, they told them like specifically, don't go from the comics like at all, but try to make the movie for a more general audience that you think would fit well, which really doesn't make any sense at all because
You're making a comic book movie
yeah.
or show. What the fuck are you doing going against the like? Sometimes it works when you get your own. There is creative. Blue, calm down. There is creative like an openness to creativity. There
Mhm.
now some people don't like it. Some people are purists. Um, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people you know what I'm saying, a lot of people understand that there is going to be open creativity. You can take a little bit more liberties with what you're doing when you're creating these characters, but when you change the story so much that it's not even the story anymore, that's when just create a new fucking character. You know what I'm saying? Like just like create your own shit. You know, like don't try to hop on the coattails of this character or that character, because just like the Lord of the Rings thing, you know, or the Middle Earth, let's call it Middle Earth, the Middle Earth thing, where you know you're just trying to get people to come in that like Middle Earth. You're not using all of like the structure of the actual story and the characters and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You're just really just trying to make your money. You know, you just want to get money by making it some popular fucking thing.
Yeah, they're trying to make money just on the brand name.
That's what. Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm trying to. Yeah, they're making money on the brand name opposed to trying to stay at least like grounded in its own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
these characters are special to people.
Yeah.
People spend their whole lives looking for these comics and spend their whole lives like almost getting to know these people like they're their own friends. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like their heroes. Some people look up to these characters. You know, even though they're fictitious, they look up to these characters, and changing their whole thing it's disrespecting the culture of the people who really
Yeah.
like love these characters, you know. And it to me it's messed up. I don't agree with it, but you know they're gonna do whatever they want to make their money. You know what I'm saying? We need more indie filmers who are gonna film this shit the right way and make lower budget things that still work because they're you know. And that's my opinion. But yeah, it kind of irks me if you can't tell.
Um, I would say the indie creator stuff, except not all of them are gonna like go exact from the source material. Like they'll go to it like closely as they can, but then they'll like do it their own way or like combine a lot of different elements.
Well, that's fine. That's I mean that's open creativity. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like Kick Ass and the comic of Kick Ass where it's scene for scene, frame by frame. Some of
Yeah.
that is nice. You know, we do need people who are going to do it like that.
Mhm.
But open creativity is nice too. You know, where they kind of throw in their own flair to certain things, but don't go overboard and change the whole damn story. Is
Yeah.
really what I'm trying to say. Don't just try to change the whole thing just because you want a money grab. You know,
Mhm.
it's all a money grab. You're using these characters because you're playing off of people's emotions, that they like these characters, that they love these characters already, you know. And you're just trying to take everybody, like you're trying to you just want the money just based on like the most popular characters and shit, you know. Like I feel like when I say indie, like the indie people who are like the indie creators who are going to create this, they have a less budget, so they're going to go and create things that they love.
Right.
And when you love something, you're gonna respect what you're making. You're
Mhm.
not gonna just go and just willy nilly make some dumb shit and just have a whole group of writers in a room talk about, oh, let's do this, oh, let's do that, let's make him black, let's make him gay. You know, because they're trying to like appeal to some audience. No, fuck appealing to an audience. Appeal to the people who love the stuff. Don't change everything just because the state of the world. Don't put your politics into it. Don't put what like the whole influencer bullshit.
Yeah.
Fuck all that.
Yeah, that's gonna be in the last category.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. Um, I was gonna say that the reason why the Joel Schumacher films failed is that I saw a interview from is a Twitter account named Alex Grand. He's a comic book historian. He posts like interview clips of everything that's been going on in the comic book industry. Like a movie is from like the like all the way to like the 60s or 50s and up. And then they'll have like actor and director interviews. And I saw an interview saying that Joe Schumacher himself, he wanted to actually match the tone of the original characters. Like, he wanted a
There you go.
darker tone of Batman. But WB, they wanted it more lighthearted and, like, funny and stuff because that's how they wanted to sell merchandise. They wanted to sell toys. And so that's the whole point why they were like that.
Hmm.
And I think Joel Schumacher said that he even, if more people were interested in his version of the movie, then there would be a cut of his film if it were to like get funded and released. But that's been a long time, so I don't think that's gonna happen. But that just goes to show that the studios are like more in control than the actual directors that are trying to adapt the source material
Hmm.
instead of the actual creators that are actually like um, more respectful towards the source material.
I know we're talking about things that are the worst, but uh, now Taylor's not a fan, or I guess I have to point this way because that's looking at him. But um, he's not a fan of the. We were talking about this the other day. Matter of fact, shit was it Gotham. Um, I think they did right by making it dark. They didn't. They weren't looking to make sell toys and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these other movies and big like names and stuff like that. They actually kept it dark and like deep, and it actually has a feel of Batman. Like there's no corny ass music in the background playing and little, like making it all like kitty and corny. Like it's very dark and deep and like it goes very deep into who the characters were before. Like when somebody's depressed, you feel their depression. Like you really see Batman as a kid, Bruce, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne.
yeah, Bruce Wayne. You see him like his actual uh like his sadness, in the movie or in the show. You can see like, dude, the kid just lost his parents. You can tell that he's anxious. You can tell that he's pissed off. You can see all these emotions. It's not just going for the next laugh or like the comedic relief type thing. It's very
Mm-hmm.
dark and all the characters have a place. They're not just thrown in there for some agenda. It's not making gay characters just for the sake of having somebody gay. It's not, stuff like that. Where Taylor said we'll go deeper into that in a minute, but it
Well, we're already there. I already changed the topic
oh, okay, cool.
since we're already in there talking about
Um,
it.
but it works better. Like they actually went with the foundation of the story and then elaborated on a younger sense of the story, like a prequel almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did a really good job in keeping it dark and sullen and like character developments and stuff like that. They really did a good job of that. And I mean, I think there's a couple things they could have done a little bit better, but I mean, honestly, I haven't seen the later seasons. I just watched like the first season, but as far as like the characters and stuff like that, they did a really good job. Um, and I know we're talking about the worst, but that I'll get to that right now. Is if other companies, not companies, but like other studios and stuff like that would take some kind like the Green Lantern,
Right.
for instance, right? If they would have took something from the Gotham series and did it not the same, obviously, but like took that same feeling, and just transferred it over like that same kind of like they didn't play too much into the story. They did their research,
Yeah.
they very much researched it and did it the correct way. If the Green Lantern did it like that, they'd probably, whenever it comes out, they'd probably get more views and they wouldn't have people shitting all over it already before it's already out.
Yeah.
And even if you don't like Gotham, you do have to give it to the fact they did a very good job of doing it. It just may not be what you want to watch, but you have to give it its credit.
Yeah. And I would say the Venom. Now that we're talking about characters and stuff, I say that whole Venom like trilogy. I think it really went sideways. Is because the whole point of Venom, like from the comics, is because he was always his whole obsession is with Spider-Man. At first, it was with Eddie Brock, He was going after he was doing a story on a serial killer named Sin Eater, and once he saw that Peter Parker has already covered it and Spider-Man took him down, then in the Spider-Man 3 movie, they actually did like a comic accurate scene where uh, in the first place, uh, it was in Battle World on Secret Wars, Spider-Man got a symbiote suit, which Reed Richards showed him. And once he got that suit, it didn't have any personality or anything. It didn't like make uh, it didn't really change how Peter Parker acted like in the movies.
In the third one.
Yeah, it didn't make him aggressive or anything, but it did take control of his body while he was asleep because it took his own like his morality mindset of like fighting criminals and stuff, and so the suit would actually take his sleeping body like out for like a ride and actually fight criminals like in the night.
That's actually kind of
Yeah,
badass.
and is it actually bonded with Peter in like a mutual um type of relationship, and um Peter was like kind of getting tired of it because he kept getting drained because his body was actually moving around while he was asleep. And so his body just kept on getting drained and he kept on getting tired. And even though it gave him like extra like a boost of his web shooters, like it gave him unlimited webbing and extra like slots and stuff. He felt that the suit was draining him, and so he went to a church tower, and he found out that the bell from the church tower is actually a weakness to the symbiote. And so he ran while he was trying to tear off the suit. He banged his body into the bell, and then the symbiote started screaming. And then the symbiote suit started like
De-
forming down.
like detaching from him.
Yeah, it started forming down and slithering down towards Eddie Brock, which Eddie Brock was actually in the church while Peter was there, but he didn't know that. Um, he was there to like try and like pray to God to like take down Spider-Man or something, or take down Peter because he was so jealous and obsessed with them. And so the symbiote caught on to that and he went on to Eddie Brock, made him like a huge, monstrous type of being, even though Eddie Brock in the comics, he was already a pretty buff guy. And so with that symbiote, it just made him like more stronger and it enhanced his obsession and aggression towards Peter Parker. And that's why the movie really didn't work out for me because Spider-Man isn't there, even though that's Venom's whole thing is that it's connected to Peter Parker Spider-Man. And then they made it the whole movie made it a buddy cop comedy basically. Like yeah, like Venom being all like goofy and stuff along with Eddie being like the whole oh new chocolate stuff like that too. and eating people, and then they make him into like a anti-hero. And then I think in one of the trailers, I think it was Let There Be Carnage or The Last Dance, which is the third Venom movie.
Yeah, the one with Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, no, that was the second one. That was Let There Be
Oh
Carnage.
shit, sorry.
Because Cletus Cassidy is Woody Harrelson played Cletus Cassidy,
Which is Carnage, right?
yeah, which became Carnage. And they got the design right, and everything else is just that they made it PG-13, and that they couldn't go all maximum Carnage as from the comics because it was a whole brutal thing where he like there was one point where Carnage like burned down and like destroyed a whole orphanage.
Holy shit.
There is one where I think Maximum Carnage is where he made a bunch of might have been like a bunch of soldiers or some type of police force like all turn against each other and like kill everybody. There's like a whole bunch of like dark stories behind Carnage. But yeah, I was
Well, his name
saying,
is Carnage.
huh?
His name is Carnage.
Yeah. But as I was saying in one of the trailers, they made like Venom dance into like a whole disco rave,
Oh
like
yeah, that
using
was actually.
the whole glow lights and glow sticks and stuff like that. Like that is not Venom at all. So I thought that was pretty stupid. And with the Batman and Robin stuff, I thought they handled Ivy a little bit well, kind of, and she wasn't too much of a problem. It's just the other characters. Is that Bane? I think Dark Knight Rises made Bane a bit more respectable to his counterpart, where in the comics and one of the video Arkham Batman games, which was Arkham Origins, they made him like very smart, intelligent, and like of course strong, and know how to take down Batman and get into his mental psyche and break him physically. But in the movie, they just made him a big dumb idiot, basically like a big hulking monster and not smart at all. And he didn't have like very much screen time. Whereas in The Dark Knight Rises, Tom Hardy, he also played Venom in those movies. He also played Bane, and he was actually like, smart and intelligent and like strategic and tactical and like planning stuff around Gotham City. And he also had the strength, even though he didn't use the venom type of substance or medication or something. It's used to like enhance his strength and make him get all buff. But I would say besides the venom aspect of Bane, I thought they handled Bane pretty well because he's supposed to be intelligent, and he's also Mexican, which is a whole big part of him also.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and Batman the animated series, he wasn't in there for very much. They kind of got close to it from the comics, except he just didn't have much of a build up or like much screen time in the animated series, which I've been watching a little bit of because it's on Amazon Prime. Since the Cape Crusader is on there, which I think is a horrible adaptation of Batman because they just get everybody completely wrong. They make Batman like the whole background character, and they have Harley Quinn like a chubby Asian and not tied to the Joker at all. She's still a psychiatrist in the well, not really the comics. She first started out in the animated series and then got her own comics, but she was specifically tied to Joker, and the Joker manipulated Harley to become like a psycho, just like Joker, and they have a whole like psychotic, psychotic type of relationship, and so and they made her in the Cape Crusader. They made her a lesbian to I think it was Detective O'Hara, which was one of the cops at Gotham, and the show is supposed to be in the set in the 1940s or 50s, and so that time period, that type of relationships was really frowned upon. It wasn't really public or well known, and so when you have something like that, it really doesn't feel right. And with Batman Forever, I would say the Riddler in the comics he does look kind of goofy and generic, but he can be like a pretty dark villain, just like in the Arkham games, he's like always trying to kill have people like solve his riddles and stuff, but he's always got traps and stuff. But he wasn't really taken as seriously unless if you watch the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. That takes some inspirations from Batman Year One and The Long Halloween. Some of it due to the whole more investigative type of sections, with the whole like different types of murders, solving a mystery, and except in the adaptation of the Riddler in the Batman is that he kind of acts as a Zodiac killer because he like covers himself up. He doesn't want to be like well known or anything. And I thought that take was pretty good. It made him more of like of a serious villain. And another one with Batman Forever is wait no, Batman and Robin. It's Mr. Freeze. He's really not a huge goofball. I would say his best adaptation is in the Batman animated series because his real name is Victor Freeze. He's a scientist that works on like cryogenics, and he was working on something, and then like some company that he was working for like did something to him, and then someone got credit for his work, and so he wanted to get revenge. He was fighting with the guy that was trying to take credit for him for his projects, and then he got knocked into the cryogenics like lab test tubes and stuff. It made his like skin all like permanently cold, and so he has like a regulator to keep his body temperature all cold. And plus his wife, which was in an accident, her name was Nora Freeze, and she's like been in a coma, and so at his whole point is to keep her safe and take revenge on anybody that did him wrong. And he's also in the Dark Victory comics, which is well, comic. This is the single story, and he just there just because he gets paid, but it doesn't really go as deep as the Batman animated series. And I'll have to pick up some of his comics just to compare and contrast. And the other one from Batman Forever is Harvey Dent Two Face, which I think the Dark Knight movie actually did it probably the best. And even though he had a cameo in, I think it was either the Batman '89 version or Batman Returns, where he was played by Billy D. Williams. He was acting for mayor, I think, District Attorney Harvey Dent. He's really close to Jim Gordon, and they try and solve crimes together. And he was also working with Batman, which Bruce and Harvey, or Batman and Harvey, were like really good friends together. And it actually shows the origins of how he got to Two Face in the Long Halloween, where he was covering a case for someone, and then the plaintiff or the defendant, he was trying to do a testimony, and someone splashed acid into his face, and that's how he became Two Face. And then his whole mental psychology got turned, I guess, into a split dynamic, because all he can think about is twos, and all he thinks about is chances and fates, and so he depicts his choices on a coin, which has two sides. So, and then at one point he dies, and then at another point he just stays alive. In the Dark Knight, he dies, which he actually has that famous quote that Harvey Dent said before he was Two Face. He said, you either die a hero or you live long enough just to see yourself become a villain," and that's what actually happened to him. Because while Batman was trying to save Rachel and Harvey Dent, he was too late to save Rachel Dawes, and instead Batman went to save Harvey Dent, and the whole huge explosion that was caused by the Joker like burned up the half of Harvey Dent's face, and he started like wanting revenge and stuff like that on Batman. And Joker started manipulating him to work on the Joker's side, because he's just a big schemer, and he's a like his own type of mob boss because he wants control of everything. But in the comics, he's not really like that. He just does like brutal murders and some joke antics, but very dark humor, like in Batman: The Man Who Laughs, which is I think a sequel to Batman Year One comic, because it references like Gordon references like there's this new villain. He has a calling card, um and stuff. He's a guy of theatrics, kind of like Batman. And it also mentioned that in Batman Begins, which is goes a little bit away from Batman Year One, because Batman actually trained himself to fight instead of going with the League of Shadows, which is where which is where Ra's al Ghul is, who has the Lazarus Pit that he keeps on going in there to stay young again, and it'll also revive anybody that's dead. And he also has a daughter named Talia al Ghul, which is in Dark Knight Rises, but she was used very poorly. Um, she has like a whole off and on relationship with Bruce Wayne, trying to have Ra's al Ghul's like heir, which is Damian Wayne. Which there's been some adaptations where Talia actually had like relations, but in a negative way towards Bruce to have Damian Wayne, which Damian is supposed to be a successor to Ra's al Ghul to that type of family, and which is why Damian is more like the aggressive type and always wants to kill and stuff, because he was being trained by the League of Shadows also, and
Didn't in the Dark Knight didn't Batman get trained by Ra's al Ghul?
that was Batman Begins.
Oh, Batman Begins.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so oh, also that's enough about Batman, but I want to say I think the MCU they really did a poor job at adapting like their movies like later on. Like at first, like in the early stuff, it was alright because you would bring up characters like Iron Man who wasn't really popular, and they made him popular. But with that said, like the whole Robert Downey Jr. with other adaptations of that of Iron Man and Tony Stark, they try and force like the Tony Stark of other adaptations to act exactly like and voice just like Robert Downey Jr., which is like a poor way to do a adaptation because it's not from the comics at all. You're just going off of a movie adaptation, which goes away from the source material. Yes, it can improve the character and make it more relevant, but
Mm-hmm.
you're basically changing the character itself from what he's usually being. You're just basically you are basing him off a movie actor of how they portray them, but that's not how they act in the comics. Because in the comics, Tony Stark is very like dislikable and a alcoholic. He usually makes the wrong decision, and he's very egotistical.
Yeah, but going back to uh they're not worried about what the people and like the people who actually read these comics and go after these kind of comics and stuff like that and love the characters. They're not worried about those people. They're worried about the consumer, which most of the people who are watching this stuff is just people who think, "Oh, that looks like a badass movie. Let's go watch it."
Mm-hmm.
And then they get sucked into the movies. So they're not trying to go off of what happened in the comics. They're going off of what they made as if what they made is the original,
Mm-hmm.
and so they have to keep their own story going to keep the people who don't actually like care about the comics, or there's probably a lot of people who watch shit don't even know that it was a comic in the first place,
Exactly.
and they're not worried about that. There's a very small community of people who actually care about the comics that are watching this stuff because of the
I wouldn't
comics.
say small.
Well, I mean, when you think about the grand scheme of everybody who's watching it, they're a small percentage. The people who are watching it are kids, teenagers, and adults who grew up watching the shit when we were teenagers, or kids. It's not a lot of these people aren't like there's a large portion of people, but it's a small percentage. If that makes sense. There's a lot of people, but there's a lot of people who watch these movies too.
Yeah.
And the grand scheme of things is the most people who are watching these movies are not into comics at all.
Yeah.
There's a small portion of people who are, and there's a lot of people that read comics that won't fucking touch the movies because they're like,
Yeah.
dude, you destroyed my shit. I'd rather just read the originals and go off of what I know. Like, um, but yeah. So nah, they're doing what they have to do to continue raking in their money. And when you've already created a character in a real life movie, you're gonna have to keep going back to the character you created because that's the character that most people know. They
Hmm.
don't know the character from the comics. They know the character from the movies. Which, if they're not the same, it doesn't matter to them because everybody else that knows this character is watching them based on the movies, and so
Yeah.
that's what they have to continue to do. They kind of shot the comic book lovers in the foot, or like
Yeah.
shot them, so
Mm.
which sucks because you destroying the integrity of the actual characters, but they're gonna do what they want to do.
Yeah, I would say they kind of did good in the beginning, like with their characters, but I think after Endgame is where it really fell off because Thor and like Thor, the first two Thors, like Thor and then Thor the Dark World, they like he's a of course he's like the god of thunder and stuff. His brother was Loki, his father was Odin, but his sister was not really Hela. Um, it's actually someone else.
I hated that character.
Oh, you didn't like her?
No, I hated
No,
that bitch.
Ragnarok.
Mm-mm. I liked the movie. I hated her.
Okay.
I mean, she was cool. She brought like a cool element to it, but I just the character itself, I didn't like her.
No. Which I did like some of Ragnarok, like the action, but once it got into the whole collector stuff, when he was on the planet Sakaar, uh, they turned him kind of into like a joke a bit, and especially with Hulk and the Thor dynamic, it really got more comedic in tone, especially in Love and Thunder, where it just went all completely comedy.
Isn't that the one where he got fat and all that?
No, that was like um
Because
that
that one
was
was pretty funny.
well at first it was an in game. In game he got all fat, and then he started to like redeem himself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is cause he came back. He was in that forge area with Peter Dinklage, but he was a giant. He was a
Oh
blacksmith.
yeah, where Peter Dinklage was like fucking
Yeah,
huge. Yeah, I
he
remember
used to make like I forgot what the weapon was called, but it was from Groot's arm, and he made a. It was part of called the Storm Axe or something like that. But
that.
it's
That was one of
me.
my favorite scenes in all the movies. Was Peter Dinklage being a giant.
Yeah.
That was freaking awesome.
Yeah. Um, but after that, I really think they fell off after Endgame. Especially after the whole Guardians of the Galaxy type of situation with James Gunn. I get you want to make them popular and bring them more relevant to their comic counterparts, but once you go back and actually read them, like the Guardians, like there's been like multiple teams of different types of Guardians of the Galaxy, and so James Gunn chose to choose a specific type of team, which they have their moments in their comics, but they're not completely all out comedy, like doing jokes every now and then, like every time, like every scene. And I think once Marvel saw the success of the Guardians franchise, they decided to make all their characters like comedic and
Yeah,
have a lot of jokes, which makes no sense at all
it's
with the
turning into it. Pretty much turning into a Marvel sitcom.
yeah.
It's just like it's that same formula, like that formulaic, like you have to get a laugh every minute, or you have to get a laugh. You know what I mean? It's a formula that they try to use from the Guardians of the Galaxy, but the reason it works in Guardians of the Galaxy is because that's who he is. Like the Star Child is a funny guy. You know, it's
Star Child, you mean Star Lord?
oh sorry, not Star. Yeah, Star Lord. He's like his character is funny. You know what I'm saying? Like that's who that character is. It's not. Oh well, that movie was funny and everybody loved it because it was funny. Let's make all our other movies funny.
Yeah.
They should just keep their thing and then add Star Lord into it. Like bring him into the. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're trying to have the same tone for every movie that they do,
Mm-hmm.
which is not which doesn't work because every character has their own unique personality that makes them who they are. And just making them all comedic and funny just doesn't work.
By trying to draw in the masses, you're losing people, not gaining people. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which I mean, but you gain the kids, you gain the future. So if you make the kids laugh now, the kids will continue to watch it in the future, which I guess is what they're looking after. They're not looking at the farts like us, you know.
I mean, you can still make that work, but have the tone like consistent.
Yeah.
Like there are like comedic characters like in the comics and from the movies.
Mm-hmm. But
You
just don't
just
make the whole movie a fucking comedy.
exactly. And I would say uh there's been a bad reputation of like the fans from the movie versions that are dogging on the people that are a fan of the comics, like in like most YouTube channels because um I seen like one clip of this guy. He was in a podcast between like two guys talking about Marvel stuff, Marvel and DC stuff, but they only focused on the movies, stating how like they are the true character. But one of them said, "Oh, you don't know anything because you read the comics, or like you're not more knowledgeable because you read everything, so you're not really like a true fan or something like that."
The fuck?
Yeah, it was a completely
That's where the
dumb
true
take.
fans came from.
Exactly.
Who do
Yeah.
you think made these movies? The
Yeah.
true fans, or like who wanted to make, you know, like who wanted these movies made? The people who came from the comics,
Mm-hmm.
you know. You're just shitting on a whole group of people that literally are the reason that you're making this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I also want to touch on a little bit on the comic book, the movie changes and how the modern comics are actually worse for it because you're basing it off of the movie versions instead of the original, which I think is really bad. I get it, you want to sell more comics by going to the movie audience, but with the movie audience, they're not gonna go and want to read the comics. They're there for the movie experience only. Like they're not there to like, oh look, I want to read about uh Iron Man's version, but in the way Robert Downey Jr. Portrayed it, or I want to read Nick Fury's version, but in the style of Samuel L. Jackson version as Nick Fury, and then off and on, and with race and character swaps, which I would say going back to the adaptations, which you talked about indie creators, which a indie director did actually work on the Eternals movie. It is a very obscure comic book by Marvel, which most of the characters from that comic are like traditionally like male oriented, and there's a lot of race and gender swaps there. And I would say about half of those characters are like pretty mixed between female and male, and most of the male characters are replaced by female, which I think is like pretty ridiculous because it changes the core of that character.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's gender roles in there for a reason, which there's a reason for male and female characters.
Speaking
And
of that, you never elaborated on Harry Potter.
oh yeah,
Yeah, you wanted to get to that, you never got to it.
yeah. The same with Harry Potter. Um, like the creators of that, they said they wanted it true to the movies, or it's just true to the books. But the one, I would say like multiple changes, but like the one major change is that they changed the skin tone of Snape, Professor Snape, which if you read about his backstory, then it like makes it more about racism when you change his race. Because like Harry Potter, like his parents and stuff, like his original parents, like all dunked on Professor Snape, and like they teased him and stuff, and they like hung him from a tree, not like by his neck, but like but like I think like from his leg, but like using a wand, not like a rope or anything. He's like using like levitation spells and like teasing Professor
Mm-hmm.
Snape. And so when you change his race to black, then it causes kind of like a race issue.
Yeah, so now it's all of them picked on him because he was the only black kid.
Yeah, and plus one of the students, Neville, there's I think it's like some type of cabinet, and Neville is like a I think it was Dumbledore or something. He was talking about like what is your like greatest fear, and it'll come out from the cabinet.
Oh yeah.
And one of Neville's greatest fear was Professor Snape,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's gonna have some implications.
He's scared of the black guy.
Yeah, and also Snape is all he's in the form of dark arts. He teaches all the dark
The
art.
one dark arts teacher they turned into
Yeah,
a dark skinned dark art.
yeah.
That's crazy.
And so, but I've enjoyed the memes though, like the whole AI videos that people have made. They've been like really funny.
You're racist. No, I'm just... no, they
I'm
do.
Black Snape. I'm Black Snape.
Nah, they. I don't know. I do agree with not agree, but I do like the fact that um, you have the power to change things up. You know what I'm saying? You do have the power. But I was telling Taylor or telling Bees, whenever you're changing things up, you're what you want to do is if you want to include black characters, don't turn characters who are already a certain color into another color. Add characters of a different color
Yeah,
into
make
it.
an original character.
Right. Go back into the books and look at the characters that you didn't bring from the books into the movies originally, and
Mm-hmm.
then turn that character into whatever color you want them to be. Or like there's a lot of characters in those books, and there's even other characters that you can like new characters that you can create like supporting characters,
Yeah.
that you can create. uh and I haven't read all the books. I've read like the first two, I think, and that was years ago. I can't really remember, but there's a lot of characters in there that aren't in the movies that you could bring into the movies and make up your own story for them pretty much,
Yeah.
because they have like short parts in the book or whatever. You can elaborate on that character and bring them into the show and make them black, or make them whatever you want them to be. It doesn't even just have to be skin color. It's like whatever, like if you want to make them like fat, or if you want to make them gay, or if you want to make them dumb, like kind of like the uh shit, what was their names? The two ones that are always eating. In the first one or in the second one or something like that in the movies. I can't remember their names. Doyle. Doyle and was it Doyle? Crab and Goyle. That's their names. Crab and Goyle. They're two like idiots pretty much. They're like kind of one's like short and fat, one's kind of taller and chubbier, and they're like just dumb characters. See, you can do that. You know what I'm saying? But if you're gonna don't change, like don't make Professor Snape just because he's black. Don't make him fat. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
don't make characters who are already established for what they are and turn them around just because the whole world want, or like the state of the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to add these characters in, create another character as that person. You know what I'm saying? Or like create characters that were already in the book, or even a new character, and create a backstory for them and stuff like that. Don't try to change the characters who are already established. It just doesn't work, and it pisses people off. It makes people not want to watch the shit.
Yeah. I'd also say um that they're going from the book, or trying to go from the book. It is specifically said of how Snape should actually look. Like there's a very descriptive detail of him looking like kind of like Dracula, with like long black greasy hair, sallow skin, and as pale as like marble white. And so when you bring on an actor like that, it really doesn't work. And plus another problem is that recently, these actors that take on these projects, they want to make it their own, which is a problem because it's not your own character. You
Mm-hmm.
are playing a character that's already been established. And so when you try and say stuff like that, you're basically disrespecting the 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 fans of that source material, because they they know about that character more than you do. And so when you say something of wanting to make that character your own, that's not your character to make your own of. Is
Yeah.
you are playing that character that somebody else, the creator, has actually already made. And there's a post by Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker, and he's been in like a whole ton of controversy, about his politics and stuff. But one that caught my eye that I read is that he said that um, that fans of Luke Skywalker they want and think that Luke Skywalker is gay, and so he said,
He was in love with a chick, his sister.
yeah, exactly. And so he said, oh, if you love the character, he can be. I think he's gay. He should be however you want him to be. But you only played the character. You didn't create the character. George Lucas created the character,
Mm-hmm.
and also in the EU or expanded universe, Luke Skywalker he married a woman named Mara Jade, which makes no sense. So you don't speak for the character that you played because you didn't create that character and that's not yours. That's not your character.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing somebody else's character that made it. You're just acting out that role of that character.
You're just an actor, not the
Exactly.
creator.
Mhm.
You can take certain liberties with it. Like I was saying before, I'm big on taking certain, like, I'm open to certain things changing. Like you can do things with a character that's never been done with a character before. If a character is a coward, you can try and create him, like, show a story arc of him becoming like brave or whatever, like that's okay. If he never becomes brave in the book, then okay, well, in the movies, you can take a coward, like uh what's his name, Neville. Neville's a coward through and through.
Yeah.
He's a scary little bitch. But in the story or in the movies, it takes Neville, who's a coward, and kind of like puts him in certain places where he has to be brave, where
Yeah.
it can show, like, hey, just because you're scared all the time doesn't mean that you can't rise above that fear
Mhm.
sometimes when it really counts. And that's cool. It's okay to do that, but don't change the overall
Core.
core of the character. Keep the core and change the little things, what I mean, if you want to, like, just to make it interesting. You don't want everything to be, slot by slot. If you want to read the books, read the books. If you want to watch the movies, watch the movies. They don't have to be exactly one for one. Take certain liberties with it, but know what you're changing and what you're not, and be mindful of what you're
Mhm.
changing and what you're not. You want to keep things at that core level, and then just kind of like, mix it up a little bit to keep people interested, not change the whole damn thing and
Mhm.
make characters not even the same character anymore just because of, again, I hate it, just like, saying again, this the state of the world, man. Everybody wants to use what's going on in the world to make their movies. Like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but don't change the characters because you want to change everybody's opinion. you
Right.
know it's stupid, and you're ruining these characters for the people who actually love these characters. Like, going back, like, their books, man, people love these books. They read these books over and over and over again. The guy who played Mace Windu, I can't remember his name.
Sam
um
Jackson.
what? No. Oh no, that was Mace Windu. No, the other guy, the he was a high lord, but he was an asshole. He was a bad guy. Gray, like, he I can't. Oh no, no, I'm sorry. He played Sauron and or Saruman. Saruman. Yeah, he played
Christopher
Saruman.
Lee.
Yeah, Christopher Lee. He read the Lord of the Rings. He read those every year since he was a teenager. Since the first time he read them, he read the whole series every single year. And actually, while he was on his deathbed, he was watching the movie, like, watching the movie. So, see, there's people like that, who, when you read them so many times, you know what you're gonna get. You know what you're gonna expect. You love these characters. You're not
Yeah,
reading it because,
you feel a personal connection to them, to those
exactly,
characters.
you're going through their journey with them.
Mhm.
You're walking with Frodo. Like, you're with Samwise and Frodo. You're with these characters. Like when you read these books, or if you're reading Harry Potter, like, you are walking with them in this school. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're pissed off. Nobody likes Malfoy because he treats Harry Potter like shit. You know why you don't like him? Because you feel for Harry. You feel for Ron. Like, you don't like them being picked on, so you hate the people that pick on them because you have an emotional connection with these characters.
Yeah.
When you change these characters, you lose that connection. You're kind of severing, like, like you're cutting little cords in the thread, making that, like, to these characters that you love so much, and it's not right. It just it disrupts it disrupts the flow and the, that connection.
I would also say that they're doing it because of diversity and representation, like, but it's forced upon.
Yeah, it's because of the state of the world.
Yeah,
Everybody's like, oh, well, you have to be more inclusive. You know what I'm saying? Like, get out of here. I want to say something else, but it just, if you want to be more inclusive, create your own characters.
yeah,
Create other. I don't have a problem with gay characters. I don't have a problem with, like, black characters. Whatever you want to, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter what you want to throw in there. If you want to sprinkle this or that in there, then that's fine. Do that. But first of all, don't make it the whole plot of the story to change that character. Don't make the gay character the biggest character in the movie just because you want to make gay people more inclusive. If you want, add a gay dude or whatever, that there's gay people. There's a lot of them. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? They should have a representation. You know what I'm saying? I'm not against that. They should be represented. There's a lot of gay people. And for you to make a whole, story where it's just straight people who can, maybe it's not accurate, So yeah, do that. Or like black kids and Indian kids, not even just black people. There's a whole lot of other races besides black and white,
yeah,
that you can make. I mean, shit, everybody would have been pissed if you made him into. It doesn't matter if he's black, dude. Everybody would have got mad if you made him look like Kim Jong Un. You know what I'm saying? If he came in here, if
yeah,
if Snape was, walking around, I'm not gonna get too much, but
yeah,
if he was Asian, you know what I'm saying, people would be just as mad, because you're changing. Even though his skin would have still been pale,
yeah,
but anyway, it can't make Harry Potter Mexican. It's not gonna work.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're disturbing the core of these characters, which that everybody's already come to love and know, or know and love. And it just doesn't make sense just because you want to push some certain agenda, or make people more inclusive.
hmm
Add your own, include characters. Don't turn characters into something that they're not.
yeah,
That's all I got to say.
yeah. And I think that's about our conclusion.
That's our rant for today.
Yeah,
This was a spicy one.
yeah. Spicy episode,
Yeah.
but we do it because we're passionate about it.
Yeah.
That's why we talk about it, because we know these creators can do better,
Hmm.
and they just ignore it. And the actual creator, like a director or something of a certain show, like, even though they really want to, it's just that mostly they're bogged down by the corporate decisions that are
Yeah.
forcing them to make the changes.
The smaller people get shit on. Their
Yeah,
ideas get shit on by the conglomerate.
yeah,
You know, the big wigs shut
hmm
that shit down because they have their own agenda, and they push their own agenda on that shit, which is wrong. That's why I keep saying indie.
yeah,
Because nobody's taking over. Like, nobody can tell an indie writer what to do. You're not corrupted by some corporation telling you that you can or can't do this. Now, it's not going to be as famous. It's not going to be as big, and you're not going to make as much money. But that doesn't matter. As long as you make back what you made and make a little bit extra for yourself, then that's good. But you're really keeping to the core of, like, you're a lover, not of these, you're a lover of these people. Like, you're a friend of Samwise. You're a friend. You hate Saruman, and you hate, like, you hate the orcs or whatever you want. Like, it's, but you're making these movies because you love these characters. And
hmm
that's why I like indie films. Even though I'm not big into some of them, I feel like there should be more people who just take a risk and just make movies of people that they love, like books and comics that they love, or manga even, or make cartoons, or not cartoon, and make anime, like make your
well,
own.
it's two different.
What?
It's an anime and cartoons
No,
are
that's why.
different.
Yeah, I messed up and said cartoon, but I meant anime.
Okay.
Like, make, you know, take your own, take liberties with your own. Make your own, create for yourself. Like these things. You know what I mean? That we need more people like that. If if you love these characters, shit, go out there and make that shit yourself.
hmm
Try and do it yourself. And bring the love that you have with these characters with you. Don't make it like some corporate, know it all that thinks that, oh, it's just like some big fat guy smoking a cigar. I'm like, hey, you should do this. It's gonna make me money. Fuck that.
I was just, I was just saying, um, even though like you're not really big, like if you are an indie creator, but you're trying to adapt from a source material, I would say because there's a recent one that's coming up. There's a new Resident Evil movie that's coming out. You know, there's one called Welcome to Raccoon City. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. The director made good intentions, but he changed like a lot of the things that really didn't respect the source material. Like, he tried to combine Resident Evil 1 and 2 together, which doesn't really work. And he changed the character of Leon to be just a fumbling idiot. And he was Mexican instead. And he had long black hair, which in the game is more of a like he's like shaved like on the sides and a parted haircut with blonde hair, and he's like very smart and strategical. You know, he can be a in the second one he was a rookie, but later on he's like in Resident Evil 4 he's actually working for the Secret Service, so he's like really trained in close combat and stuff. And to have him like reduced to a fumbling idiot just makes no sense. And now it's just Resident Evil 2, and then Resident Evil 1, you're dealing with Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, and Barry. I forgot his last name. And that's more of a more darker type of version than what Resident Evil 2 is compared to. Which Resident Evil 2, it goes into more like, at first, stick to survival horror, and then later on, turn into a more action oriented type of style. But yeah, he tried to combine those two together, and it just didn't work. He got the look of it, some of the look, but it just didn't. It wasn't really well executed. And then in the new one, he wants to call it Resident Evil, but he wants to branch to a whole completely new character, but just call it Resident Evil and only have like references of the universe, which makes no sense.
That's what Rings of Power was.
Yeah.
They threw a bunch of characters that had nothing to do with the books or the Silmarillion. If you know anything about there's the Silmarillion, which is like explaining it all, and then there's other books outside of the main Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of them that go deep into Middle Earth, and a lot of those characters nowhere to be found in that show, or no, none of the characters in that show are anywhere to be found in those books. So they just kind of just threw out and made their own characters just to, like, just as a money grab for,
Mm-hmm.
because they know that people love this world. And I have one last thing to say, and I gotta go because I gotta get ready. I gotta go somewhere. But one thing else that I do have to say is, and I just saw this last night, and it's funny because I was watching this last. So when I was a kid, I really loved He-Man. I had like the little the little castle, and I had the little dog, and I had He-Man and all that,
And the
right?
movie's coming out too.
That's exactly what I wanted
Yeah,
to say.
I think it's next month.
Yeah, they're coming out with a new He-Man movie. I was just watching the cartoon last night. The one from it was
It's from it was
yeah,
in the
82.
80s. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out in 83, 1983. And but I was watching that last night. That's what I was watching when I was going to sleep. And I'm hoping, I didn't want to watch the thing until today. I meant to watch it today so I could talk about it today.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna have to talk about that next week. But that's one thing that I do want to touch on. I just want it on record because I did love that when I was a kid, and I really like, I had the little what's his name, the cat, I can't remember his name. I have to, but anyway, I really hope they do good on that movie and bring it to justice. Hopefully, I'm about to watch the trailer right now after I get out of here. So, but that's one thing I do want to touch on next week. I have watched it and everything, and let you know what I think about it.
All right. Well, I think that's it for today,
Yeah.
and we'll focus more on what Zeus wanted to talk about next week, and we'll make up with a new topic to go along with that. And we'll catch you all later.
Yeah. Deuces, magooses.